Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for being here. This is actually part 2 of a DIY upcycle thrift flip video that I started last week. When I was editing that, it got a little bit too long. I will link that up in the eye and down below if you want to see a really cool pendant light that I made out of some thrift store frames. And so for this week's DIYs, we're going to make a really cool desk organizer out of some 12 by 12 vinyl tile that I got at the thrift store and then some scrap wood that I had laying around. And then we're also going to dupe up some all modern little planter cans. Now, normally when I take inspiration from something that I find online, I like to kind of adapt it into my own personality and my own taste. But this one, I kind of wanted to see how closely I could dupe these little planters up. So without further ado, let's hop right into this video and get to making stuff. So I picked up a couple pieces of this. I think it's a vinyl tile from my local Habitat. It has the same print on the front and back. It kind of reminded me of terrazzo tile, which is pretty trendy right now. So I thought we could make a little desk organizer because I need some organization for this desk to go along with my stuff. But you could also use this as like a makeup palette collection organizer. You could put your toiletries in there. You could put your perfumes in there. You could do whatever. The idea I have for this is pretty versatile, so you guys could change up the dimensions to make this work for whatever it is that you need in your life. So I found this little scrap piece of 1x4. There's already measurements on it from something else, but that's okay. I can sand all of that down if I need to. So what I'm going to do on my table saw, I'm just going to make 3 little rabbets, like 3 little notches. They're going to go the whole length, one towards the back, one towards the front, and one right in the middle. And then that will be the little track that my tile is going to sit in. So right here is a little wheel where you can raise the teeth of your table saw. Now I'm just going to do like a tiny little rabbet, so it's only sticking up just a little bit. Then I moved my fence over pretty far in because I'm just going to cut a rabbet just on the inside by about 1/4 of an inch. So that's about 1/4 of an inch right there. You can see I have 3 grooves, one on either end and one right in the middle. Let's test it out. I have my piece here. Try to slide it right into that groove and it is perfection. So we're gonna have a piece that goes all the way along the bottom and then 2 pieces that are gonna go on the side. So when you're cutting the length of your bottom, keep in mind the depth that the rabbet is cut, because this is going to go into the side piece right here. So you don't want to line this up perfectly and cut perfectly right here, because then there won't be any clearance for the side to slip into the sides right here. So take into account the depth of your rabbet right here, and then you're going to subtract that from either side and then cut your bottom piece. So I'll show you in a minute if you're confused. So this rabbet is 1/8 of an inch deep and our piece of tile is exactly 12 inches. So we are going to cut our bottom piece right here 12 inches minus 2/8, so minus 1/4. Cut our bottom piece to 11 3/4, but we're going to err on the side of it being too big because we don't want to try to slide our little tile pieces in and then it be too small and then we have to try to shave down the sides of our tile pieces. We don't want to do that. So we are going to err on it being a little bit too big instead of a little bit too small. So I have 2 pieces slid in there, and this is the side piece. Fits in there pretty snug. And then we just have 1/8 of an inch over here that will fit perfectly into the other side. So now we just have to figure out how tall we want the sides to be. So I'm gonna cut this piece down so there's a step down between tall, middle, and the front. So I'm gonna let me figure out what that measurement is, and then we'll probably cut the sides to just the height of the front row. I'm gonna leave the back one at 6 inches, and I'm gonna cut this one down to 3.5. So the middle divider will be 3.5, and the very front part of it will be 2.5. So this side is 3.5, and this side is 2.5. This stuff is very, very easy to cut. You just score it and snap it. Make sure you have a sharp knife, sharp blade, and you're good to go. Ta-da, perfect. So if I would have stepped these down evenly, so 6 inches, 4 inches, 2 inches, I could cut my side at a 45-degree angle. But since I didn't do that, I think I'm just going to cut right here. That is just shy of 3 1/8. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go sand these down, stain them up, and then we'll put it together. I'm just testing out some stains. This is the Jacobean, the Minwax brand. This is weathered oak right here. I did it on this half. You can barely see it. And then this one is early American. This is my favorite. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. It is such a pretty stain. My God. All right, which stain do you guys like better? The Jacobean or the early American? I don't know, I kind of like the dark with it, but I think I'm gonna go with the light because everything else in my home is the light. So I'm gonna put a little bit of wood glue on here. Wipe away any excess glue. All right, then we will let this dry. I let this stain dry overnight, so now it is the moment of truth. Let's see if these fit in there. Just gonna coat them with joint compound. You can use spackle, you can use drywall mud, it's all pretty much the same thing. This is just a pre-mixed tub of wallboard joint compound. So I'm just gonna do a nice coat around to cover up all of those grooves. Once it dries a little bit, you'll be able to go in and kind of form a little bit more, but I want to let this totally dry and we're going to go in with the second coat. This one doesn't have any ridges, but it does have a dent here, but I'm just going to give it some texture, so I'm going to go in with a light coat on this one as well. So since there is a ridge here on the top lip and on the bottom seal, I'm going to put a little bit more right there and then smooth that out because I want to kind of hide the fact that there's ridges on the top and the bottom. So now I'm just going in with my finger and smoothing in a second layer over the dried first layer. I'm not trying to make it perfect because I do want it to have texture. I'm just trying to disguise some of the corrugated ridges in here. This is the second layer that is dried. Now I'm just going to go in with a fine grit sanding block and just lightly sand down some of the uneven texture. Then we will paint these up in our matte paint. I mean, I could go in a little bit more, but I like how it's kind of smooth. I feel like it's going to give it the look of a little bit more of an organic material like stone. So I'm going to go in with my black chalk paint. This is the only matte black paint I have right now. You could spray paint these up if you have matte black spray paint, but I'm just going to use my chalk paint because that's what I have. Now I am going to go in and paint just kind of like the top inch, just in case whatever plant or whatever I put in here doesn't totally cover the top, but I'm not going to bother going all the way down, just like the top rim. The chalkboard paint on my cans is totally dry, and now I'm just going to go ahead and reference that all modern design. Go in with a Sharpie paint pen. Now when you use these, the directions are: remove the cap, hold the tip down for a couple seconds, put the cap back on, shake it really, really good to get the paint mixed. Then you have to depress the tip onto a surface for a little while, and then that should make it work. And then always start off doing a tester on like a blank piece of paper. So let's just start paint penning our design on here. So this is kind of the first line I got going on, and this paint pen is working pretty well on top of this. I think we may have just done a little duperoni. On this section right here, there's some areas that don't totally connect, which I kind of like it. It gives it a little bit more of a rustic look. The legs, I have this dowel that is 7/8 inches. So I'm going to cut this down to about 1.5 inches for the little leggies. So I have my little dowels cut down. I sanded them down just a little bit, and now I'm gonna go in with some chalkboard paint and paint these little legs up. So I have my little can here, and I have my little dowel pieces that I cut down, and we're gonna glue these on to the bottom. Now, since this bottom has some ridges, these are not gonna sit perfectly straight, so I'm gonna use a mix of hot glue and some E6000. I'm gonna use the hot glue to kind of build up a platform to where it's kind of straight, then a little bit of E6000 to adhere it a little bit better. Now this E6000 has seen better days, so I just kind of cut the corner off back here. I'm gonna put a little bit on the bottom and also some hot glue. Stick it right on there. Alright, so I'm just gonna let this sit upside down to dry. And move on to the big one. If you like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And subscribe and join the Whitney fam so you don't miss a video on thrift flips, upcycles, home decor, and home product review. Because this channel is dedicated to all things home and helping you DIY the home of your dreams. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.